got you. We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
As you can tell, last year it was an off year, but we reloaded and now it is our boss year. Seated back there and yeah, we got the badger. Don't forget Marshawn and don't forget the pass rush. Jameis QB1 dropping down to MT. Ball handed off to Alvin with the quick feet. So when you see the Saints marching, yeah, we gon' trouble you. At the Super Bowl party eating on them double. We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of the NewOrleans.Football podcast. We're about to see some real on-field work. Tomorrow, practice is open. We'll have a lot of observations, a lot of stuff to talk about. So make sure you're on the site, sign up, get on that. And I'm excited to see him on the field, man. I don't think Mike Thomas was practicing. I heard today he's there, but not really doing anything on the field. No big surprise there. Saw Jameis was out on the field. I heard he was limited, but to see him on the field just about 6 months removed from that ACL injury, that's huge.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of
months.
stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff for us to get into today. But what's going on with you, man?
Just glad football is back, really.
Yeah,
it
it's
feels
exciting.
like a lot has happened between like Sean Payton retired. They tried to get a new quarterback. They made this trade. Saints fan, the panic after the non-activity. It seems like this offseason was like 3 of them. And I guess I've said that for the last 3 years because of COVID, et cetera. But this one just naturally is just so much stuff happening that it felt like a long time. But let's get into it.
Yeah, I just watched a little HBO special today, and I'm glad that the alternative reality did not hit. That's a crazy situation. I feel like everything worked out for the Saints the way it should have worked out. I feel like they got the players that they should have got. It took a while to get there, and I'm just thankful that we are not covering the alternate timeline reality. Like that's
I
just
text you.
Hey,
I text you early, man.
That's the Cleveland problem. Let that stay up there. But here's the good news. If you want to save some money, you can call my guy, Daniel Sant. And if you are a business owner needing some guidance with your daily accounting, Daniel Sant CPA can help get your finances in order. They provide relevant accounting information, detailed analysis, and clear communication in a timely manner. Call today, 318-321-2765, or visit santcpa.com. And I'll tell you how much Sant CPA cares about people. Brandon, our new hire, the man could not fill out his payroll thing. He almost didn't get paid. They got on him. Brandon, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but hey, we got to do good for our people, the real life thing. So Brandon, as much as anybody, should be loving on Sant right now because he almost didn't get paid. And I was about to let him go, but they kept calling all day. And Brandon got his forms done, and good thing he gets his assignments done better than he does his payroll stuff because it'll be a problem. But hey, the assignments, they're on time, they're on point, and the other stuff, hey.
Hey, Brandon, listen, as a man that it hurts not to get paid, man. So
shout out to Brandon, the full member of the team. He was going to be an intern. He's been killing it, and we put him on. He's going to be with us for at least the whole season, hopefully longer. So shout out to Brandon.
He in his zone right now, right?
He is. And also, if you need legal help with any of the following: car wrecks, offshore injuries, 18-wheeler collisions, Maritime Jones Act, hurricane and storm claims, you better call Bado at 504-323-4777 or 985-677-1085 for your free consultation and case review, badolaw.com. And Freddie just texted me, shout out San CPA. And hit up the Firehouse Subs on Veterans Boulevard. They got the best fast subs anywhere. So hit them up. And those are our guys. They take care of us. So take care of them.
Yeah, we're willing to slander other people for them. That is a strong commitment. Man, football is back. you got a little glow around you. I see it's like a little bit more light in the night than it was a week ago. There's a little football on you, man.
Yeah.
You're just a happier individual.
Well, the set's looking better too. So, DJ told me my side was looking bad, so I got up in front of the bookshelf. We're looking a little better. We got the real podcast studio coming probably within 7 to
Couple of
14
weeks.
days. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's gonna be
man.
huge. But for now, we got a little bit of a better setup. They had some thoughts on yours too, but we'll talk about that off air.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I got like the hat, the shirt, the mic, and the background. What else I got to do?
It's a lot of branding. It's a lot of branding.
It's a lot of branding. You know what? The funny part is like, I'm about to make myself sound crazy. Like I put my shirt and hat on my chair before the pod, like it was like going to school. It was like, before you go to school, you put your clothes on the bed. And I was like, this is getting a little out of hand. I wear the hat because I just ain't shave my head, and the shirt is like this accessory. Give me, I'll get better. All right, football. So you mentioned it at the top. Seeing Jameis on the field, 7 months removed from an ACL injury. You reported that he was limited there, and so just how significant is that? Because that was a big open question. Like, I mean, it was a realistic possibility maybe that when you saw the injury that he maybe starts the next year on PUP. So for him to be limited in the first OTAs, that bodes well for his comeback.
Yeah, look, I think the fact that he's out there is huge. It kind of it sets things up a little bit for just moving forward for it to be his team. Like being on the field just a little bit, I think is even a big thing. And it's just a good sign to see that he's on the right track. And that's why I think kind of the Mike Thomas watch is going on a little bit. You just want to see Mike on the field doing something. And if you see him on the field doing something, it just kind of alleviates some of those concerns. And it's not a big deal, really. If Mike's not practicing now, that doesn't really mean anything for late July. But seeing him, it just kind of makes you feel like something's happening. It's going in the right direction. And so, yeah, Jameis being out there having his I don't know about the towel hanging from the face mask or things like that. But
you always got to give us something to laugh at, man. I mean, that lets me know he's healthy. Like he's just back to being silly. Like I'm like, good, Jameis back.
Look, the thing I like about Jameis the most, like every single time, if you watch guys, every single time they talk about him, they smile, and I think that's just like a good thing for a coworker, man. Like he's just who he is, and like those little things, like I think that just kind of makes him who he is, and I think it makes him
like
a
you
better
and Pete
teammate.
Werner, right? It's kind of like you and Pete Werner, right?
Nah, but for real, like I think it just kind of makes Jameis like relatable and just kind of like it's just kind of like his thing, and it works for him. Like his personality, like he's just Jameis, and people love Jameis for being Jameis. But yeah, seeing him on the field, seeing him moving around, it just lets you know that things are on the right track. And the fact that he can drop back, throw some passes, just all that stuff, and just to get familiar with some of his new teammates, and and like I said, kind of establishing it is his team. This is the first time since being here, he's going into the offseason, and it's his. Hey, this is the way I want things done. These are the way things need to go. This is what I'm looking for here. This is how we're gonna do this at practice or after a meeting or whatever. And I think that's important too, just for him and everybody else, because like Taysom last year going into camp was trying to establish some of those things. This is the way I do things. This is the way, and there's no competing on that sense. There's competing on the field, and then there's just also competing in terms of
just like a center taking a snap count a certain way, a guy's cadence, how they call the plays in the huddle, like all of that stuff. You just the more you used to one guy doing it, and the more repetitive it is, the more second nature it is, right? And I remember I think you wrote about it last year. Just I think it was Eric McCoy just talking about like the difference in how one guy snaps the ball, where they like it, et cetera. And so
just leads the line calls, like it was it was completely different language, and that doesn't just affect your quarterback. That affects your guards, your tackles, your running backs, your tight ends, everybody that's involved in that protection scheme. They can settle into one voice, one way. This is how it goes. It's going to be consistent every single time I go to the line,
and even to the wide receivers too, right? Because the cadence for them coming off the line of scrimmage, like all that stuff, it all kind of plays into hearing it from one person. So I mean, and then to take it a step further, I mean, Taysom kind of, I want to say he started last year at number 1, but he got the first team snaps initially, right? So it's like black and white from where it was last year. With
I mean,
Jameis,
it was 2 days on, 2 days off, 2 days on, 2 days off. It was kind of switching every.
Taysom got the first. I guess what I'm saying. Taysom got the first. Yeah, and so, but yeah, it's good for it's good for him to have it. And I think you made a good point when you said, this is his team, and it kind of gives the optics of, hey, this guy, he worked his butt off, he worked his tail off to be back, to be quarterbacking for us, as soon as he can, right? First OTAs, here he is, he's worked his way back to being healthy, and he's ready to be here. So I think it does send a good signal. I think it bodes well. I'm not surprised. I think that's I mean. When Jameis got hurt, you're sad, and then you see him in the locker room dancing, and then you're like, all right, well, he'll be all right. It's just like instantly you kind of feel better about it. So yeah, it's just good. It's, I'm happy for him, especially after that type of injury, and I'm excited about the year he's about to have. I think he's going to have a good year. He's got everything around him. He seems very prepared. He seems very serious about it. And I think he understands the opportunity that he has. Right? I mean, like seriously, like I think if this would have been the roster and then free agency would have started, things may have been a little different, right? Because other quarterbacks might have saw this roster and this situation, and it would have been like, okay, well, your Saints are picking between, right? And so I think he's just in a really good situation with a really good roster where I think it's as good as a situation as a quarterback can be in, at least at the moment. Yeah. So good for him. Good for him. Just touching on Mike. So there was a little uproar about Mike and him not practicing. Here's the thing, and
I don't know why. I was surprised by that.
I wasn't.
I just for me, him being in the building is the thing that matters. That's the thing that matters. Okay, Mike's there. Like that's the thing that matters. Mike is in the building. He's around the team. He's around the players. Last year he wasn't around for a lot of the offseason. So him just being there to me is a significant thing. The practicing part, that's going to come. He's going to be ready. He's going to get healthy. There's no point in pressing anything for this, like right now. This doesn't matter. I mean,
it's not June yet, right? It's not June yet, and the season
July,
starts like
not July. Yeah.
Well, it's not even June yet. It's May 24th. It's literally
like July's when camp starts. That's when it matters.
I know, but I'm saying the season doesn't start until like September or something.
Yeah,
and it's not even June. So
take 6 more weeks. Be ready for camp. Just get all the time you need. Don't press it, and that's all that matters. I mean, him not practicing, I don't like. I wasn't expecting him to practice at all. I was going to take it as like a pleasant surprise if he did, but I wasn't.
He was there,
yeah. And at most, I thought maybe we'd see him like catching on the jugs machine, jogging in the end zone, maybe something like that. I didn't expect to see him out there doing anything,
like running around, running routes and stuff. Yeah, I think. I mean, here's the way I look at it. Right, it's nothing to panic about. He could be 95%. You know what I mean? And they're like, okay, 5% is not worth the OTAs, right? So I don't think it's anything to panic about. But it's just, it's just something we're going to keep talking about until we see it, right? And I think that's the take. Is like, okay, well, it's nothing to panic about right now, but at some point he's got to be on the field and he's got to start running routes. And right now it's super early, so it's nothing to get worked up about. Now, if he gets deep into training, if training camp starts and he's not ready, then conversations start, right? But right now, I think it's too early. I think, he could be 98% right now, and that 2% is not worth the risk, right? You want Mike Thomas after 2 years being 100%, and I think that's probably the best way to look at it.
Mike wasn't at voluntary OTAs last year. He's at voluntary OTAs this year. I mean, that's the thing that's significant. They didn't see him last year until he was mandated to come for minicamp. Then he comes for minicamp, fails the physical, goes for the surgery, and that kind of started the downward spiral of last year. Right now, and
that was crazy, bro.
He just went to practice to be around the team, and they've been flying out to LA to see him. Like, I don't even think anybody would have been, pressing if Mike didn't show up for this. I think they probably would have been like, hey, just keep doing what you're doing in LA, and that's cool. Mike's here. That matters. He's around. He wants to be bought in. That's the important thing to me more than anything else. If Mike's bought in and wants to be part of the program and all that, the rest of it's going to get there. Like he's going to get healthy, and I think taking your time with it is probably the smarter move, honestly. And like I said, I think it alleviates a lot of the concern, a lot of the anxiety, and all that. And if Mike was out there running around doing stuff, like that would have been the biggest thing. And when Mike comes back and proves that he's healthy, like seriously, that's going to be bigger than anything they've done this whole entire offseason, including trading up for Olave, signing Honey Badger, all that stuff. Getting Mike back, and if he's Mike, like that'll be the biggest thing they can possibly do. And it would have been great to start that process right now. And hey, maybe he's out there tomorrow. I doubt he will be, but you never know. When that moment comes now or July 30th, it's going to
Yes,
be
right.
it's going to be a
It's a
significant
few
thing.
rounds of
Yeah.
OTAs, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
this is just one landmark, right? We got a few more to get to.
And then
we'll get
mandatory
there.
minicamps June 14th to 16th, I believe. So, I mean, there's a lot of time for things to turn around between now and then. I mean, it's almost 3 weeks, right? Yeah, it's about 3 weeks, and then again, even if not, I'm not expecting to see him any of these things
Until
until
probably
camp.
training camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing camp is when. If he's not ready by camp, then it's like the mic watch starts, right? I mean, that's probably that's just how it's going to be. But anything before then, like I said, I just don't think it's really like a super big deal. It's been a couple of years. I understand the frustration, right? Obviously, and I understand the even some of the pessimism, but you just got to you just got to think about it from a different angle. I just think there's no reason to risk it right now. But yeah, people just want to see Mike on the field. And that's probably what it is, 99%, right? It's just like, yo, man, just run a route, right? Like, just let the best one of the best receivers in the NFL come back to the team that needed him like the most, right? And I think that's probably part of it. If it was, if he was another guy, if he had another guy behind him who was, similar to him, I don't think it would be a big deal. So I think just the lack of weapons previously is kind of leading to it. So, but regardless, I'm pretty sure we'll see Mike at some point, and if not, then I'm pretty sure you'll break the news about what the heck's going on with it. So we'll get there when we get there. But we spoke about Jameis and Mike. There are some other players who, they were injured last year to some extent, and just wondering like where they'll be. And I'm just going to throw out some names. You can tell me, what you think about if we're going to see those guys or not. But Peyton Turner, Ramczyk, Jarvis Landry, he was injured last year. I don't know if he's 100%. Taysom, Pete, just a few guys. You heard anything about?
I didn't see any of them in the pictures. We'll see tomorrow. I mean, no point in really guessing at any of them.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not sure about a lot of them. I'm not expecting to see Taysom. I'm not. I didn't see Pete in any pictures. I don't think. I definitely didn't see Peyton Turner in any pictures. I know he's been around this offseason.
I thought I saw Did we see Ramczyk?
Ramczyk was definitely in photos. Yeah,
okay,
he's actually looking kind of thinner.
Okay.
Who else did you mention?
Peyton Turner, Ramczyk.
I saw somebody say that like Landry mentioned something about like his kids' graduation or something like that. Yeah, so we'll see on that one.
That's just something I'm watching. I know he was injured last year, so
yeah.
Him being 100%. So yeah, that's something. Excuse me. Yeah, it's not. I'll put you on the spot. Not to necessarily know right now, but just those are guys who will be watching, right? Like the guys who were injured last year, just seeing like I said, it's not just Mike, it's not just James. Some other guys who are important who are injured, like they're getting us.
I haven't important in any pictures either.
Yeah, I think I saw his name as someone that people didn't see neither. So I need to put him on a list, which like that's a bad. We want him to start this off season like that, but I don't want to. He might have had a graduation too, right? So I don't want to spread any bad information. So we'll report on that information when we get it. But we'll be paying attention to, just some of the guys who are on the field, and some of the guys who still kind of get healthy. Like Taysom had a pretty serious injury, so my guess is like he's going to be someone that's going to, it's going to take a while to see him. So moving on up. AK's heard anything about AK? I just haven't even seen him mention. Is he in the building? Like, you think that he'll get to speak to him? I mean, I don't know. Like, it just he's like an afterthought this offseason, right? Because all the wide receiver movement, it's like, well, he's better than all these guys, right? And they may not have him. So yeah, just any updates on him at all?
Voluntary,
Oh, okay, that's right. Is he there?
I don't think so. It's voluntary. I mean,
okay.
Some guys. Look, if he's getting his working with Dr. Sharif and that's what works for him and that's how he's staying healthy, then stay there and do the work. I mean, that's the main thing. Like if you're going to be ready, be ready. And I think he's somebody that's earned the latitude and has proven that he's going to put in the work. So if he's not there, I don't really think it's anything that DA or anybody else is really going to get worked up about, because, he's got his program that works for him and he's figured out some things. I feel like, just as far as his health too. Like last year, he put in, a lot of hard driving runs and, stayed upright. So whatever he's got to do, I think you let him do his thing. And AK is going to be ready. I don't think you got to worry about him.
Yeah, I wonder if it has anything to do with just him not wanting to deal with the media or something like that. Because I don't know if typically, like I don't remember him missing. I mean, obviously the
I
year
don't
that,
think AK cares, man. Like he ain't
yeah,
someone that's getting worked up by anything. Like
yeah,
he's
that's
just
probably true.
and he's gonna come out there and he'll make a couple comments about it and it's over. I mean, that's
Yeah,
really
that's
gonna
just
be
kind
it.
of how
And
he is.
look, I'm not downplaying violence or anything, but that isn't really like a story that anybody's gonna drive at like that. It's two guys got in a fight in Vegas. Like, of
Yeah,
course, that should never happen. Not condoning it, not saying it's not a big deal, but that's kind of a thing where it's just kind of like you get asked 4 or 5 questions and it kind of goes away. It's not like a inquisition and people fire and it's just kind of like, hey, what happened? Where's it at? What's going to happen? Have you heard from the league about a suspension? AK knows how to handle all that, man. I mean,
yeah, yeah. No, I got it. I got you. I got you. Yeah, I mean, you make a good point about like how his personality is. He probably
yeah,
doesn't care
he
about
don't
that.
care.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah,
You don't get worked up about anything. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, I think I mean, it's not ideal that he's not there though. I mean, like it's I kind of feel like Jameis probably needs to build some rapport with him.
you'd
You
prefer
know,
everybody to be there,
yeah, you just
obviously. I mean,
prefer him
yeah.
to be there. Like, so I'm pretty sure there's a reason. I'm pretty sure you talk to the coaches. I don't want to comment too much on it because I just don't know why he's not there. It could be a perfectly valid reason. Um, but yeah, in best case scenario, you would like to have the whole squad there, right? Because you want all those guys to be able to work in concert, right? Like we were speaking earlier about the cadence, knowing where a guy's going to be, all that stuff kind of plays into it. But it's nothing. It's nothing to even like really talk about anymore. Oh, here's another thing that I don't know, man. This is like I don't even know if anyone's thought of this. This is like probably bottom priority for a lot of people. But like, where do you think Pete Werner's going to play? You think it's going to be Mike or Will, or you think they're going to kind of interchange those positions based on like down and distance? Like, how do you think they're going to approach the linebacker situation?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time they're in nickel anyhow, so like it's it's not really you're both kind of playing the same role to an extent in that package. So I think in Baso, I think he's probably man, that's a good question because like I can see it going either way, and I think long
I
term,
have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea.
I think
It was
long
just
term
like,
you I think long term
yeah,
you probably want him in the middle. I think
I
that's probably
agree.
where he ends up long term. But
Yeah,
coming into it, I could see him being at will again this year. I
yeah,
mean, I think that's probably the likely position for him. Um, I'm excited to see what he does. I mean, I think he's gonna have a good season. I think he's earned that role. Obviously, much better run defender. I think that he's got to prove that he can be. That he doesn't have to be as good, but he has to just consistently show that he can handle the passing responsibilities he did last year in a small sample. But the more exposure, the larger the sample, the bigger the room
yeah.
for variances come into play. So
Right, right,
there's
right.
gonna be some show and prove with him this year, but I think he deserves that opportunity.
Yep.
I don't want to say that he has that job because it was right around now last year when they
No one
decided to
just showed back up.
bring Quan back. But I'm gonna stand on what I said last year. You draft somebody in the second round, I think you got to give him the opportunity to kind of show what he can do. I
And be a
understand having
starter.
I
Second
understand
round
having
player
the
is a
competition
starter.
last year. He didn't beat out Quan last year. Quan had the job. I think now though, you got a second round pick, a guy who's played, who's shown that he can handle that job. I
Yeah.
think he deserves every opportunity to have the path to getting that job. And look, if they were to bring Quan back in and Quan wins it out, fine. I mean, it is what it is. But I
Best
think
player
at that
wins.
point, that's not good. That's not good for the health of your program. You want the young player to have the job to be cost controlled, to be under contract, to grow and to develop and eventually become one of those foundation pieces. Because as much as everybody likes Quan he's not at this point somebody you build your defense around, and that's not a wild opinion there.
Well, he's
The
not a
NFL's
long-term solution to linebacker.
right.
I mean, I think that's
Yeah,
the NFL has told us that. That's not
right,
Kevin's opinion. That's
right.
32 teams,
Right.
right?
He's
Yeah,
on
so
sign. Nobody's throwing huge money at him to be
yeah.
the centerpiece of their defense. So he's someone that's kind of like a mercenary at this point that kind of comes in, plays, and
And he's a
I
good
think
player. He has a certain skill set. I
yeah,
mean, he has what he's good at. He's good at it, right? But I just think, ideally
you're
you would
better
hope
off
that
if
the
Pete
young
Werner has that job.
if
Like
Pete Werner has
yeah,
that
yeah.
job.
And if
Yeah,
Quan can take
exactly.
it from him, he comes in again and takes it from him. That's on Pete. But I mean, you don't
Yeah.
want that outcome. And people cheering for that outcome. Same thing I said last year. I think it's I think it's weird to not want the second round pick to be the starter on the team. If he's not the starter, you've now burned a second round pick and a third round pick on guys that aren't starting on your defense, and that's how you become a bad team. When you're bringing $1 million free agents off the street and they're starting over your second and third round picks, that means that you're not a good team. Probably like things are going back poorly for you. You're
not drafting,
expending resources in places that aren't helping you. So that is not something that you should be like actively cheering for. Like if Quan comes in and takes that job, that's a bad thing for your drafting. I mean, Zach Bond already, I'm kind of filing him in that
bus character.
Yeah, he's in the bad pile right now. He can find his way out. He can still find his way out. He's over there. Like, I don't think Pete Werner's, I think he's on the right path, and you don't want that. So
Zach Bond is in a cavern. Yeah. He's got to use all type of climbing equipment to get up out of there. That boy got to like grow some wings or something, bro.
Yeah,
you understated that.
Man, that preseason game was amazing, though.
Bro, listen, though.
It was crazy.
He was the answer. We was like, Pete who? Like, people literally forgot they just drafted a linebacker in the second round. And then
he did everything in that game, though. That game was like it was like one of the best
so
preseason
good.
games I've seen, man. He killed it, and then it was just like, man, like
he was so good.
Yeah. He had like 15 snaps, and it was just like, man.
Oh, you know who had one like that? What's the linebacker that played for the Saints the year they won? Like when the great Jonathan Casillas, I think it was, and he had this one preseason game where he was like just god level, right? And then like you said, sample size it just starts to. Well, he wasn't a bad player, but he wasn't that player, right? And like you just mentioned with Pete, right? Sample size, you need more information. Does the performance scale, right? And Zach Bond, obviously that one game wasn't enough. So he was good that game though. It was amazing that game. That was a really wild week of hype for that guy. But hopefully he shows up and plays well this year because they invested something in him. So we just said that when you invest a second round pick in a player, you expect him to be a starter, right? Because that's a premium pick, right? I consider first and second round picks as like premium picks, obviously. And so they drafted a cornerback. Alante Taylor. So, how much can you get out of watching like that position? And just, and same thing about a wide receiver too, right? Just looking at cornerback and OTAs.
You're talking about no OTA. Yeah, I mean, these are passing camps. I mean, the only thing that's really of value is cornerback, wide receiver stuff because there's not a lot of contact there in real life. And it's really the only thing that you can kind of see and evaluate. No, granted, like you aren't going to see like the same aggressive like press techniques and that because there isn't pads, so guys aren't going to be punching each other in the collarbones and stuff like they would in pads. But coverage wise, how people movement going up for the ball, all that stuff. I mean, that's the only thing really a value out here. You aren't going to see anything on the line, so. People are gonna how Cesar Ruiz. Nobody knows how Cesar Ruiz is doing. Like
it's gonna be some takes though.
Yeah, you can't see nothing out there on the lines at this point.
We won't learn anything about Trevor Penning, basically.
The run game has limited to no value as far as what's going on out here. Linebackers, you can kind of see how they're diagnosing things a little bit, how they're getting into their drops. That's a little bit something that you can kind of look at. But really, it's a passing camp. It's receivers, it's cornerbacks. It's safeties, and that's really the only place where there's, and it's still artificial value, but that's the only thing really where you can see some value. And then obviously quarterbacks, accuracy, decision making, things like that. But yeah, it's a passing camp really more than anything.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see Taylor go up against some veteran wide receivers. I'm pretty sure he's going to get that chance, and I want to see Olave go up against Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, etc. So I definitely I think that's one of the more exciting things about these OTAs is you can at least get somewhat of a feel, nothing definitive, but just you get a feel for kind of what type of players these guys are.
Yeah, it's a first look. You can get a somewhat of an idea at least.
Yeah,
on some of these guys. I mean, there's no conclusions obviously this early. It's one practice, out of 6, and then the rookies go away and they come back too. If you're starting off at a high point, I think it means something. A guy starting out, like say Alante Taylor comes out here and he has some trouble going against some of these guys. Like that doesn't really mean anything. This is just kind of like a barometer more for someone to kind of find out what they don't know. They can go away for 6 weeks between the end of mini camp and training camp, come back and pick up what they're doing. And look, I mean, sometimes crazy things happen out here. There was one year we saw them playing one defensive scheme at mini camps and OTAs, 2015. Like they had one defense they were playing in the summer, and they came back and started over with the whole new install for training
Something
camp.
different.
It was a completely different scheme, and they like just wasted everything they did. Because this is kind of like the start of kind of laying a foundation. So sometimes crazy things like that happen where the team itself is like, nah, we got to do everything different, and things start over there too. So obviously that's not going to happen either side of the ball here. They got a really strong foundation.
Yeah, they know where they are at this point.
But yeah, that 14-16 stretch, man, was there was some
Rick
wild
Ryan
stuff
days,
that went
right?
on. Yeah,
Bobby Richardson days, Junior Gillette, and some
like
wild
Bobby
time,
looked
man.
good relative to it was just crazy, man. It was
Bro,
crazy.
I want one of these players to like do a tell all about that. Just those years. Just somebody just do it like a mixtape, 60 minutes. I don't care. It's podcast. Choose any medium you want to do. I'm here for it. So if one guy I didn't mention, and I'm just writing his name down because I want to make sure I keep a valid list going through the offseason activities, is anything on May. Just quickly, I know he had his injury.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
just putting it out
somebody too. We're going to be watching to see how he
Yeah,
moves,
just
what he does,
putting
all
it
that
out
stuff.
there.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there as someone who to keep an eye on because he's another player that sustained.
Yeah, we'll have like the full recap on the site tomorrow of practice, and then we'll be back.
All those
Friday.
legendary practice reports come back, man.
Yeah. We'll be back Friday with the members only pod, digging into some of the stuff that we cover. So yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a practice yet. The first one that we'll be able to see is Thursday. Me, DJ, Brandon, the whole crew will be out there taking notes, doing everything. So yeah,
notes, pictures, social aids. Follow all the social media accounts, NUF Network, NewOrleans.Football, all of them on social media because TikTok too. It's a lot of different places where we kind of just spreading the brand. So
just go to the NOF network, and then everybody that works for us or the accounts that are followed. DJ's on there, Brandon's on there, everybody. So follow everybody.
Follow everybody, man. Follow everybody. Tyrann Mathieu is wearing the Saints jersey. That's going to be, it's just cool to see, right? First Pictures Day. Don't buy the jersey yet. I guess we should put out a public service announcement about that, just because it's subject to change. But yeah, man, it's just cool. It's cool. It's cool seeing him in the Saints uniform. It's a good story. So we spoke about it. Don't need to recover it. But yeah, it's you definitely someone we'll be watching, especially that secondary, man. I think that may end up being the strength for the team this year. So, them getting up to speed as soon as possible is definitely going to be a good thing. That's all I got, man. OTAs of tomorrow. Oh yeah, that's it. That's all we got. OTAs are soon. We could take a question or two if you want something, but we teed it up. Now it's time to watch it and then talk about it. So that's
you
all I got,
man. You ain't getting paid for the full hour this week, man.
Well, me and Brandon, I told you I know what it feels like.
I'm docking the pay, man. I'm docking the pay.
You didn't catch that when I was saying earlier. I was like, I know what it feels like not to get a paycheck.
I'm docking the pay, man.
It was a little slander. But
someone's asking. Yeah, none of the numbers are official. Like that. They cut people, at the end. They go from 90 to 53. A lot of numbers open up, and then all it takes really is like one coveted number to start like a ton of movement. That one person wants that, then somebody wants that number. So yeah, do not buy a jersey until training camps over, the season start. Like I would get that thing after final cuts because, like, if somebody wants to wear number 5 and 5 opens up, and then their number opens up, and now 17's there, and there's just all kinds of things that can happen. So yeah, definitely do not
unless you can stitch a jersey. It's probably not the best idea. I see someone asked about Lattimore. Anything?
I didn't see him in the pictures, but yeah, we'll see tomorrow. Yeah.
Don't I wouldn't take anything. These just social media, they all tweet rap lyric. They tweet their thoughts and quotes and stuff. Man, I wouldn't look into social media about anyone being locked in or not locked in. So
Yeah, he's going to be locked in. Look, he was tweeting the other day that we put out the graphic of all the guys that he's going against, and he was tweeting about how he's going to win every single matchup and all that. So yeah, I mean he's bought in. And look, honestly, I think this season sets up for like a good Lattimore season because we know who he is. We know what kind of games he gets up for, and it's a murderer's row the whole season.
It's a lot of them, bro.
Yeah, so
it's a lot of them.
He's going to be in the whole entire season. I don't think it's going to be, there's not a lot of room for variance. Like every single week is going to have to be kind of like a top level thing. And he comes out of this season like it's going to be, he has a chance to kind of really set up that resume to be like,
in that conversation.
Yes. Yeah. And he is in the conversation, but like kind of like you go through that season and you shut people down, you get a bunch of picks. Like,
yeah, that's true.
There's not a lot anybody can really say. Like the resume is going to speak for itself at the end of it. And I think he sees the opportunity ahead of him. He's acknowledged it. I mean, he acknowledged it on Twitter. So, I think things are set up for him to have a solid season. I'm excited to see it, man. I'm excited to see so many different aspects. Like I wish like we weren't going into the OTA tomorrow. Like I wish it was going into week 1. Like I'm just ready to see the football team and what they put together, and how everything's going to come together.
Yes, skip the process, right? Let's just get straight to the business.
Oh,
yeah. No, I mean, it seems like I said earlier, the secondary that's the squad I'm looking at. I mean, even just I think Alontae Taylor tweeted it today. He's like, I walked in this room and it was like it's different, right? It's different. I mean, and it is like you see Marcus May there, you see Lattimore, you see CeeDee Deuce, Debo, you see Marcus May, etc. So like I think that's probably going to be the most competitive group. Just when you look at, well, it's only one position up for grabs, right? So, but I think that Marcus May be out for some time. So who's going to be the next guy behind him, etc. You got Justin Evans, who's got that. He was a highly drafted guy a few years back, drafted in the second round. He's still on the team. He's someone we haven't talked about. Sorensen may end up being the starter back there at safety. And I won't be able to handle it. But anyway, it's a fun group to watch. So we'll definitely be paying attention to them. And thankfully that's one of the groups that you can kind of learn a little bit more about than others in these OTAs.
Hey, DJ's asking questions in the chat. To say it, man. Ask your question.
When is Alontae signing this contract?
I took him on mute. He could have spoke.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad, DJ.
I shut off the mic. He missed it.
This got the red bar over there, bro. You can't talk.
This stuff is usually like based on offset language when there's disputes between rookie contracts and they take a little bit longer to sign them. And where that usually comes into play is look, when somebody has like an offset. So like if Alontae Taylor were ever to get cut and he had offset language in his contract, it would say, the other team doesn't owe him this money. It gets offset by what's remaining on his contract. So if he signed a $5 million contract and he had $4.5 million in offsets, like there would only be an incentive for the other team to pay him $500,000 because he's collecting $4.5 million from the Saints. So an agent doesn't want that $4.5 million to stay on his client's contract. They try to negotiate that stuff out. So he gets his $4.5 million from the Saints and then the $5 million from the next team. So he gets $9.5 million. So like when the Saints signed, I believe Teddy Bridgewater, he had offset language in his contract. So they gave him a really low contract because he's collecting the money and his market value is what it is. So why would they pay more? And, he goes on he gets his money. So they aren't going to pay him above and beyond so that he gets his 4.5 million plus the 5 million. And then he gets whole at 9.5 if his market's 5 million. So that's usually where the battles are with rookie contracts, agents, players. They don't want that offset language in there. And that's really, one of the, and it could be something else. I'm speaking in general terms here, but these things are so formula driven at this point now that like there isn't, it's slotted value and everything's there. Like there's not a lot of stuff to really fight over. And that's usually really the only thing that people kind of fight about in these situations.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And he's in the building, so it's not like he's not showing up for it. So I'm pretty sure it's it's something they can figure out. I guess you just made me think of something. Do you see a scenario where anyone signs an extension on the team this offseason? Like, are there any players that you think that you say like, hey, like I don't know, McCoy, Davenport. I'm just throwing names out there. But yeah, just you was talking about contracts. I was like, oh, who's next?
Yeah, I really haven't studied it really yet. I mean, I think Davenport would kind of be the next guy up, but I think if you're Davenport and if you're the team, I
You
think
don't want to do that contract.
yeah,
right
I
now.
don't think I think the team would probably want to sign him sooner than later because he kind of is what he is and his value is what it is right now at a certain point, and a lot of that upside is kind of more in theory, and you could probably negotiate the price down a little bit just based on some of the holes in his resume, despite how good his tape is, despite the comments look from the head coach who has said more than once that he thinks he's probably the best, most talented player on
on
the
the
team.
defense.
Yeah, on the defense. He said that multiple
He
times
said
now.
that. Yeah, he
So
said
yeah,
that too. That's wild.
despite all that stuff, I think that there are ways to negotiate that down. Now, if he comes out and he has a really good season and he does what he's capable of doing for
That's good for him.
even let's say he plays 15 games, I think that would be huge for him to play 15 games.
If he plays
And
15 games, you know he's going to eat because he's
he plays
productive
15
when he's on
games,
the
he's
field.
probably going to get 10 to 12 sacks. Yeah, and then where's
Yeah,
that
he's gonna.
contract? Where's that contract at that point? So, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think for him, I don't think his value can really go down because he's a very talented player who gets hurt a lot. And I don't think that changes if he suffers an injury and he plays 7 games. I think he gets paid the same now regardless. I think
On
he
the
could
market.
probably get hurt in camp and probably still get the same contract he would get right now based on his because he's still a young guy. He still has a lot of upside. There's still all that potential
He's
there. And
productive. Yeah, and
somebody's
he's
going to pay him.
productive.
Yeah, somebody's going to pay him a decent amount for that. And they're going to want to get multiple years on that contract in case it hits. So they have that upside at kind of a cost controlled price. So I
Yeah.
think he could miss the whole season and get paid what he would get paid today, period. But for him, if he goes out and he plays, he has the healthy season. I mean, that money,
Yeah.
it's through the roof. I mean, he's that good of a player. It's just he's
He's
he's got
paid
to
if
he's got to
if he
stay
hits it
healthy.
out the
Yeah,
park this year. Yeah,
yeah.
he's gonna see a bag. Whether it's from New Orleans, I mean, they may end up. I mean, that may be a franchise candidate or something, which is like way down the road. But yeah, I mean, that would be it would be good to get to that point, right? That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Versus a guy who you invested a lot in not working out, and him like if they don't get to extend him now, it'll just be bad. Like when you invest that much in the guy, you definitely want to like get that second contract. So yeah, hopefully he has a good season because
I'd be interested to know. Like, I'd like to know, kind of how that's playing out because the psychology on his side, I could see it being just kind of, if the money's there, they just get it because there are a lot of injuries in that. But like, I think it would be a bad move because I think there's just so much more if he bets on himself. I can't remember who we were talking about last time. Maybe it was in 20. Like there was somebody me and you kind of debated about it a little bit. I don't remember who the player was, and it was kind of the same conversation. But I really think Davenport he needs to make that bet on himself because I just don't see the downside. I really don't. I mean, he's just he is so talented and he's young and that upside's there. Like
wasn't it Was it Marcus?
I can't remember who. No, I don't think it was Marcus. Whoever it might have been Alvin. It's
Alvin.
I think it was Alvin.
I think it was Alvin. I think it was
Yeah.
Alvin. Yeah, I think it was Alvin. Yeah. No, I mean that's a good point. Yeah, he's definitely one guy that stands out. And like I said, I think the only other guy that comes off the top of my head is McCoy or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. And Chauncey, he considers himself a cornerback, right? And so and I don't think obviously slot cornerbacks get paid one thing, and I don't think he's probably that'll be an interesting contract. That's one that that's the one I'm going to be paying the most attention to because that's going to be a really interesting. It may be like one of the most interesting negotiations since Jimmy Graham. Because if you pay him like a slot cornerback, then you get a deal. If you pay him like a safety, then that's another deal. A top cornerback, then that's astronomical. So just where does he fit on that scale is going to be wildly interesting. That's going to be a contract to watch. Question on the screen, Nick, do you think they're done with recruiting running backs?
I don't. I mean, I think they'll probably still look to see if somebody's out there. I don't really know who the difference maker is at this point, but we put it on the site. They were interested in signing Sony Michel. He failed a physical, so that was you know, that was a guy that they were looking to sign. So I think that they were still in the market heavily. I don't think Darrell Williams was ever actually really a thing. I think he was kind of trolling everybody. I mean, you know, the picture, he's at the Superdome. They don't take people to the Superdome. Their facilities on Airline Drive. Like they aren't like in the dome, like putting them up on like the scoreboard and like, you know, like a college recruiting movie.
What was that like? He got game. Was that he got game?
Yeah,
when,
like you don't do that. Like, but I see that like people are buying it. They're like, come on, man. Like they aren't like, first of all, like the Superdome's they're doing renovations actively right now, and I mean, so yeah, I mean,
he's just driving by. Yeah, he's just driving all the way to the airport.
Yeah, he got a reaction saying he was back home visiting, and then he went back and you know, I think he was just playing people a second time and yeah, laughing at everybody. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think if the right opportunity comes along, they would probably look for somebody. Maybe they'll wait. Somebody gets caught in camp or something, and you know, there's another opportunity there. But I think they're gonna have their eyes open for it, and it's a spot that I think that they're gonna try to address. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a spot that I think they, you know, they would do well to probably add some, you know, add another guy, add another body there. So, yeah. All right, guys, we're really done this time. Thank you guys all for showing up. NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. That's where we are. That's where you can find all the work we do. You can find everybody to follow, like we mentioned earlier, the whole team we got here, DJ, Brandon, Nick, etc. So, yeah, man, go there and check us out. Subscribe, support us. We appreciate it. If you're listening to this pod, then you really got to go subscribe because, you know, that's the reason why we do this. So shout out to our supporters. We appreciate you guys. Yeah, man. It was good seeing Chad here too. That's the last thing I want to say. I always enjoy seeing y'all. So thank y'all for showing up. With that said, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. We out.
Nick and Kev, I got you. We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
As you can tell, last year it was an off year, but we reloaded and now it is our boss year. Seated back there and yeah, we got the badger. Don't forget my shun and don't forget the pass rush. Jameis QB1 dropping down to MT. Ball handed off the Alvin with the quick feet. So when you see the Saints marching, yeah, we gon' trouble you. At the Super Bowl party eating on them double. We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Nick and Kev on the mic.
It's about to